Okay, so here we go on our seventh week, and prepare yourselves for a monstrous change of perspective. Up to now, we've been looking at the prehistory, the distant evolution of human beings in the distant past, the evolution of food production, and the beginnings of cities, and so on. But now we're going to change the scene and bring ourselves right into the present, or at least the present, the last couple of centuries. And in that perspective, we're moving from people that have long since passed from the scene to people that have been alive in yours and my lifetime. We're studying what happened to all of those cultural patterns that were going on in the past, and how they get brought up to the present all over the world. We're keeping the world perspective here now, and in that very exciting overview sense. But before we start exploring these cultures one by one, we need to kind of get some concepts of how anthropologists go about thinking about things. And to do that in this context of worldwide understanding and everything, I want to introduce you to an early anthropologist named Clark Whistler, who worked in the early part of the 20th century, and he provided us with a kind of theory of culture that helps us as work as a unity in anthropology. His concern was, how to make some kind of sense out of all of the cultures that happen around the world under one theoretical umbrella. And so he came up with some concepts that he published in a 1923 book, Culture Patterns, Culture Areas, and one very important one for our understanding is called the Universal Pattern of Culture, in which he identified 9 packages of behavioral traits that all everybody in the human species has in all parts of the world. And those 9 include things that we're very familiar with and use every day: language, art, religion, economics, architecture, and so on. You can see them see the list in the overview. Well, these 9 packages taken together in what he calls the universal pattern of culture means that we're all one species, all one race. And as a matter of fact, in most recent research in archaeology and genetics, we've come basically to the conclusion that probably due to a monstrous volcanic eruption around 72,000 years ago, the human population basically contracted into tropical Africa, and then sometime after that, approximately 50,000 years ago, it started spreading out of Africa through India to Australia, from India to Europe and various other parts of the world, ultimately to the Western Hemisphere. But before people left Africa, they had all of these 9 packages of things already intact. These are developed in Africa. There's a cave called Blombus Cave in South Africa where people are demonstrating most of these behavioral traits through their artifacts, and probably the people that created Blombus Cave were living in East Africa for some time. Then the Toba eruption comes along and probably destroys most of the other humans in the world, and then this new version of humanity comes out of Africa and occupies the whole world. practically every square inch of land in the world except for Antarctica, of course. And that's all a testament to these 9 packages and how adaptive they make the human being. So our main concern this week are these structures of culture, and very important to Whistler's perspective is the idea that cultures change, and he had an idea called the age area hypothesis, which has always been a very productive model for anthropologists to think about. How does change get introduced into a culture? How does it diffuse or spread through surrounding cultures? What are the limits of that spread, which is a cultural area probably confined to areas of similar environment? So take all these things to mind, and then we'll go in future weeks into looking at what has happened to our African people as we spread to other parts of the world.